Speaking about God's names is fundamental because God's names mean the way that God, Hashem, is interfacing with us in this world. And we're going to see that something very essential happened by the giving of the Torah and by leaving Mitzrayim, which is that Hashem revealed a new level of destiny for humanity, which had not yet existed from the beginning of time until the leaving of Egypt. Hashem was running the world in one way. At Yetzias Mitzrayim, something fundamentally different happened, and that went through the giving of the Torah. And after the Torah was given, now all of destiny is going to be running in a different way. Why is this so fundamental for us? Because we're going to see that, as we've been mentioning and really going in depth, that all the Yud Gimel Ikarim, all the 13 principles of core belief, which we explained all have their roots in the leaving of Egypt, the core of what we believe in, all of that is going to be attached to the name of God. The name. We're going to see the Shem HaMeforish, the name. So let's begin. So the Torah wants to point out that Moshe Rabbeinu was revealed something special. That's one of our principles, is that the relationship that God had with Moses was unique, will never be duplicated, and something was given to Moshe Rabbeinu. What was that? So the Torah says, "V'loi kam navi oid beYisrael k'Moshe." Nobody will come again like Moshe. Asher yodu Hashem ponim el ponim. That Moshe saw Hashem face to face. L'kol ha'osos ve'amosim, with all of the great signs and wonders, like we mentioned last time. So says the Ramban. We're spending a lot of time with the Ramban recently. We said the last of the great Kabbalists. Sheyedu Hashem ponim al ponim ba'osos ve'amosim. Says the Ramban. He's hinting to something very big now. What does it mean that Hashem appeared to Moshe Rabbeinu through these great wonders? Shekulam nasu bishmoi hagodol. All of these were done with God's great name. Okay, the Ramban is saying that something changed, that now the great name is being revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu, and all the miracles of Yetzias Mitzrayim and the giving of the Torah are going to be with the great name. Kamosha Amar v'yoytziacha b'panav b'koyach hagadol. That Hashem took us out with this great strength, with the great name. What name are we speaking about? So it goes on. How did Hashem appear to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? So if you open up Parshas Va'era, V'yedaber Elokim el Moshe, and God, using the name Elokim. Elokim means that God is in charge of all the powers. V'yomer Elav, Ani Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. I am Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Va'era el Avraham, el Yitzchak vel Yaakov. I appeared to Avram, to Isaac, to Yaakov, be Kel Shakai. The name of God of Kel Shakai. Ushmi, but my name Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. Loi nodati lahem. I did not make it known to them. They might have known of this name, but it was not communicated deeply to them, which means the world was not running through the name of a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey during that time. But in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, things start to change, as God is now revealing Himself in the way of a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. What does that name mean? If you open up a Shulchan Aruch, Siman Hey, it's a halacha. It's basic Jewish law that we have to know what that name means. We say it 1,000 times a day, I hope. By the way, you don't say the way it's written, but you have consciousness about the way that it's written. What does that name mean? A Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. Oh.
Past, present, future, right?
That's right. That the letters imply that God was, Haya, Hoive, he is, v'yeh, and he will forever be. Which essentially, if you think about that, God, you ever thought about this? I hope so. I hope every day 1,000 times. God always was. So go back in your mind, as far back as your mind could go. Go back. Go to the ancient world. Go all the way back. As far back as your mind can go. Deeper, further. The beginning of all creation. So God exists before all creation and always existed before all creation. That same God from always back before creation, before all time, is here right now, is Hoiveh. And that same God, Yeh, will always be, meaning infinity. Absolute infinity. No definition above all time, existence. Essentially existence itself, which is now showing us in the world of existence itself that God is above everything. And he could do anything, and he can create, and everything is under the control of Hashem. Hashem is the essence of all existence, infinite existence. So that became clear to Moshe Rabbeinu, and we're going to see in a moment God started running the world through this new form of existence, i.e. revealing. He always existed in this way, but he revealed this in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu. So look what the Ramban says. Amar Elokim LaMoshe, Nireisi la'avos, b'koyach yodi asher ani shoyded boi hamazalos. I revealed myself to them with the name Kel Shakai, which is the way that God says, I set up all the constellations. I can manipulate anything. Va'oizer lebechiri, and I give and help those that I want to help. I can move any piece that I want in the system. It sounds like it's a name that's within the system of the creation, which means an absolute control over every single part of the creation. But what was not revealed at that time yet was that God exists beyond everything. That was what happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Aval b'shmi shel Yud-Heh asher boi niye kol hoive, but the name of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, which all existence comes from. Everything. All existence. And anybody who still thinks that the world came from the soup, or where did the soup come from? Yeah?
You said that Moshe Rabbeinu had a very individual relationship with God that no one's ever had.
Yes.
Does that mean his relationship, well, this is a two-part question. Does that mean his relationship with God was greater than Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov's relationship with God? Was he at a higher spiritual level than them? And was Moshe like our highest ever spiritual figure?
When we're talking about the great, we're not talking about he had more home runs than the next guy. It's not like a quantitative thing. It's something we call panim b'panim. An absolute, direct line of prophecy, what we call aspakalaria ha'me'ira. That Moshe could speak to Hashem awake anytime he wanted. I mean, the creator of heaven and earth. Sometimes you meet a few of these guys like in Times Square, maybe, walking around, and they're saying, like, they're talking to God right now. So you have to tell them, like, only Moshe Rabbeinu could do that, like literally awake. All other levels of prophecy are going to be in some type of a dream-like state or a trance-like state. So his relationship was absolute clarity, the way that we describe it, like a clear lens.
So what do we do when we speak to God?
You're speaking right to God, directly. But Moshe Rabbeinu actually saw the secrets, and he could receive direct messages back, clear messages back.
And no one else could do this. Not Abraham.
Correct.
Not Isaac. So is that?
They all had prophecy. They're all prophets.
Saying that Moshe then was.
But it was a lower level prophecy.
Saying, is the Torah saying that Moshe was the closest ever to God, and Moshe
Yes.
had the highest kedusha or whatever? Like,
So don't think of home runs, but the highest level of panim b'panim, clarity in the relationship of knowing God the deepest, if you will, but that doesn't diminish who Avram was, that he was the Rosh HaMa'aminim, he was the person of Chesed. Each of them were defined by certain energies, that they were what's called a Merkava. They were like a chariot of a godly energy in the world. So for example, Avram Avinu, when you saw Avram, you saw the godly energy of kindness in the world. You didn't know if you saw Avram or the godly energy of kindness. He was a chariot for the godly energy of kindness, exhibiting itself, showing itself, expressing itself in the world. It's an amazing thing. So imagine just being around Avram Avinu. You were drawing and you could channel very high level of godly kindness by being in his presence, because you were experiencing and seeing what that was. There's a great person now, Rav Machlis, who I feel is like a chariot of kindness in our generation. He has hundreds of people in his home every single Shabbos. Like open. He's been doing this for like 40 years. And it's just he just embodies kindness. Embodies it. So Avram Avinu embodied a certain element of Hashem. Whereas Moshe Rabbeinu had a direct interface, panim b'panim, clear. Everything was clear to Moshe Rabbeinu.
Did Moshe know Hashem's real, true name? Did he know it?
Yeah,
And
it was revealed to him.
Was he able to speak it? Was he allowed to speak
To say Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh?
Yeah, was he allowed
So Moshe Rabbeinu was like a Kohen Gadol. So the Kohen Gadol can say this. The Kohen Gadol can say the name on Yom Kippur, Kodesh HaKadoshim. There's special times that we could say the name. Not us, per se. You're not allowed to say it. Nobody go around and say don't say it. It's a one of the things that we learn from this is that your speech is very powerful. Yeah.
So you say the name. So from what I understand, there's lots of names of God, but are we saying that there's one name?
The name. That's right.
the name.
The most powerful.
The name is a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, which is called the Shem HaMeforish, which is called the Shem HaGadol. So he says, Asher boi nieh kol hoive, this name that all existence is emerging from. Remember, this is the existence above all finite existence. Loi nodati lahem, livroi lahem chadashos b'shinui hatoldos. And therefore I'm revealing this to you, Moshe Rabbeinu. L'chein emor lebnei Yisrael, tell Bnei Yisrael, Ani Hashem, I am Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. That's going to be even a deeper connection. That's now, you're bridging into the infinite world. V'toidi lahem pam acheres Hashem ha'agodl. Again, you see that. The great name. Ki boi ani oise imam lahafli. I will do wondrous things with this name. V'yedu ki ani Hashem oise kol. This is the name that I will show you everything is possible. So we see here that there's something fundamental, that when the Jewish people are leaving Mitzrayim, there's a new revelation. The revelation is the name of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. We call it Shem HaMeforish. And this is originally spoken about at the burning bush, which we know was the same place of Har Sinai. So already was being planted in that place that there's going to be a Torah that's received there. Moshe Rabbeinu is going to have this interface with that name. He's going to take that into the Jews in Mitzrayim, tell them that there's a name of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh that we're going to be using, i.e. connecting to this name. And now watch this. V'yikra Hashem hanichbad sheich nesneh ki shem nira elav betchila v'shochen yomim rabim al Har Sinai shu mokum sneh u'mesinai ba v'shochem b'Yisrael. So it was at the burning bush that the name was given, and it's going to be there that the Torah is going to be given. So we see something very important, that the miracles that are about to ensue, and we explained last time, all those miracles are spoken about in the verses in the leaving of Mitzrayim. And all of those are the 13 core principles that we're going to be going into one by one, Mitzvah Shem. All of those are going to be happening and through the name Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. And those are going to be like flowing out of this name. This name is the source, is like the roots, the shoirish of this. And we know that the Torah itself is God's name. We're taught that the entire Torah is one long name of God. And it has to be that when the Torah is given, the Torah is coming out of the name which is the source of all the names, which is a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. A name means a way that I relate. If you're on a deserted island and there's nobody there, you don't need a name. A name is a way that I relate. So when Hashem says, this is my name, He's relating to us. He's sharing with us how He wants to relate to us. So all the names come from a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. That's the source of everything. And we find this also in the Rosh. That the Rosh says it's called Shem HaMefoidesh, which is the source of all the names. That all the names are what's called Netzal. They spread forth. Like the world of Atzilus, they spread forth. They like shine forth from this name. Yosef.
As far as the world of Atzilus goes,
I knew you were going to ask about this for some reason.
I've heard before that the name corresponds to the layers of reality being like Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asira. I was wondering how...
So the source of it all is a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. That's the source, that's the Shoirish. Everything is flowing out. It's like spreading forth. Like a candle shining light. That shine is coming from Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. And therefore, when that name became revealed, now we were going to get ready to have the Torah given to us. But it gets better.
I've heard there's other hidden names.
There's many names, but this is called the Shem HaEtzem. This is Shem HaMefoirish. This is the name.
This is the name.
This is the name.
But there's also other names we're not allowed to say, and also ones that we don't know about on top of this name, right? Like
This is the name. This is the Iker.
Question. So Moshe could say the name, this great name, and it sounds like
Only certain times. It's not, so this is like atomic energy. This name.
But we just said the name, or did we?
No, we didn't say it.
We
just
spelled the letters of the name.
We spelled the letters, and I didn't even say Yud. I said and a Hey, and a Vav,
Right,
and a Hey.
As we hold, the common doesn't know how to say this name, even if we wanted to. Is that correct?
We're not allowed to say it. When Mashiach comes, then we'll have it back.
But we as of now, we don't really know how to even say this name.
There's many different vowelizations to it.
Okay.
What you do, though, is you say, it's called Aleph and a Dalet and a Nun and a Yud. That's how we actually say it. But you think Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. You think the name, what the name means, which means you're tapping into your spiritual consciousness and you're blending it with what we see down here.
Okay.
You're, so to speak, drawing Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh down.
Are you allowed to think of God's name?
For sure. That's like a great thing to do.
Meaning, even this name you're allowed to think of?
Yes, it's a very good thing. That's what basically Torah is supposed to bring you to, is that you think of God's name all day. Like the halacha says, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid, that you should see Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh in front of you always. So some understand that means that you live with God consciousness all the time, that we believe in constant meditation. A deeper understanding is that you actually see the letters, a Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, everywhere you go. This is like a Yud, this is like a Hey, the Vav, the legs are at the Hey at the bottom. You see it everywhere. You give tzedakah, somebody gives charity. So, this is a Yud, right? A little Yud. Your hand is a Hey, it's also gematria. The arm is the Vav. And the poor person who's receiving is the final Hey. So you start seeing that Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is the whole sequence of how the whole world is being run, which essentially is the way that God is creating the world. He's creating the world through this amazing act of giving. We're the final Hey, and you really can get into all this stuff. This is like what it's all about. This is like, where we're all going, is thinking about these things. And all of life is this. Yes, Yosef.
As far as seeing Hashem's name within the image of man, like how you laid out throughout the body, I've heard above like at Atzilus there's like Adam Kadmon, and that's supposed to be like the crown of the Yud.
That's right. Even the Yud has a little crown on the top, which is really hinting to there's even more stuff. It's pointing you upwards. Okay, so this is important. We're going to begin this today, and we're going to have to continue it next week. We are taught that the entire world is created through the Torah. Hashem looks into the Torah and creates the world. God is infinite. God could choose any plan that He wants to create the world. God chose to create the Torah, and the Torah is one with Hashem. Hashem looks into the Torah, and that becomes the blueprint for all creation. We're taught that the Torah, so to speak, is like the vessel by which God can create the world. What's called HaTorah Oimeres Ani Hayisi Kli Umanus Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm like the vessel with which to allow an interface of the infinite into the finite. That's through Torah. And Hashem is looking, so to speak, this is a spiritual looking into the Torah and creating the world. And the Torah was revealed to us through who? Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? So of course, if the Torah is God's name, and there's a name that's the source of all the names, which is Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, then who had to have the name before the Torah is given? Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu has revealed Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. That now becomes a way that Moshe Rabbeinu can receive the entire Torah, which is now going to be the blueprint for the entire running of the world. This is going to be the name that all things will come into the world through. Okay. This is an important piece. We just have to add now. But we'll pick up with this idea next time. God is looking into the Torah and He's creating the world. The world was created with 10 utterances. Those 10 utterances were essentially before the Torah was given to humanity. So the Torah is running, the world is running through 10 utterances, which is set, asara ma'amaros, which are running the entire of creation. The Mitzrim were trying to rebel against every single aspect. This is the ancient Egyptians, rebel against every single aspect of God. That's why they were deeply steeped in Avodah Zarah and magic and kishuf and all sorts of dark things. The 10 makas, the 10 plagues, become a way that God is now, every one of the things that they tried to do and they tried to deny, those 10 makas are breaking down reality again and making it clear to the ancient Egyptians. That's why we also talk about this on Seder night. The makas are like a big part, keeps the kids up. Oh, let's just get to the makas, because then it gets exciting. The 10 plagues are the systematic way that God was destructing creation and letting the creation know that I'm in control of everything. But now you have a deconstructed world. How are you going to move forward? So the answer is, when God gave the Torah, the 10 commandments now become the new formation of the world. That new formation of the world is going to be that anybody who lives with Torah is going to build the world in a positive way. And anybody who, Chalila, goes against it, it's like a destructing of the world. The rules completely are now Torah rules based on the 10 commandments. Okay, so this is the Asara Ma'amaros. God creates the world in 10 Ma'amaros. God deconstructs the world through the 10 plagues, and then rebuilds the world through the 10 commandments. And the 10 commandments, we know, 613, this is really 620 letters inside the 10 commandments, which corresponds to the 613 mitzvahs of the Torah and the 7 mitzvahs derabanan, which is a gematria keter. We spoke about keter. That's the crown. 620 gematria keter, the crown. The entire system of the 10 commandments is the entirety of the Torah. And these are now the 10 new rules of how creation is going to run. And therefore, all those that are going to hold on to the Torah, and we're now distilling it down to these 13 core principles. Anybody who keeps those core mitzvahs, you are now creating the destiny for the world. So, no pressure. But holding on to the Torah is basically helping to bring all the goodness and peace to the world. Okay? So we're going to go a little bit weiter into this topic of how Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is front and center at the new phase of how the world is going to be running. It was given and revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu. It's now given to us. And it's our responsibility to use this properly. Use it means connect to God in that way. Not to say the name, but to connect spiritually. And the way that we do that is through the Torah and keeping the mitzvahs. And we should be zeicha, my dear friends, to be truly connected to Torah and mitzvahs and to all the details of Torah that brings great healing and blessing to the world. And with that, we'll see tremendous goodness fill the world. That Yemali ha'aretz de'as Hashem, that the world will be filled of an awareness of God consciousness. Kamayim liyam mechasim, like water covers the sea floor. We should be zeicha to this. Amen.
Amen.
Have a wonderful Shabbos, my friends.